Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am Q, I go by Bougie Book Bae, and today I want to take y'all on a trip down memory lane. Now, y'all see my balloon in the background? Check me out. I just celebrated my birthday on Friday, Juneteenth. Hey. And I know y'all been seeing these books falling over the place. I got this bookshelf for my birthday, and I gotta get some book enders. Like, I outgrew my old bookshelf over here and I got all this space now, so I'm trying to figure it out. But anyway, like I said, we are going on a trip down memory lane. Myself and about 70 other creators here on YouTube are starting the Black BookTube is Reading challenge, which is a challenge to get more Black creators visible out there and in your feeds so that you know that there are creators on here that are reading Black books and, sharing the stories from those authors. Now, today, I just want to talk about the books that shaped me into the reader that I am today. So when I think of my early reading years, I knew that I loved reading when I was in 4th grade, when all the other kids were not really trying to check out the books in the library and take them home. Like, I would check those books out and I would, be at home reading. I think when I was in the 4th grade, I was on like a 7th or 8th grade reading level. So reading has just been a lifelong love. Now, how did I get into the books that I read now? So the year was 2004. I'm telling my age here a little bit, but I was 12 years old at the time. And I don't remember whose book it was, but somebody had The Coldest Winter Ever. And I just remember looking at that cover and being enamored, like, oh my gosh, she's cute. Like, the little painting, I'm gonna put it up here, but like the face on the cover, it wasn't really a face, like a painting type deal. And I was like, okay, I gotta check this out. Y'all, I read that first page. And I said, oh, Miss Girl, you ain't supposed to be reading this. Like, the first line in the book was, I came busting out my mama, beep, 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 beep. And so, as you can imagine, 7th grade me was like, oh, I ain't got no business reading this, but I am so intrigued. So I read the book and I finished it and I was like, oh. And the crazy thing about it was that I actually got caught reading it by my mom. And instead of just scolding me for it or whatever, my mom scolded me for it, told me I ain't have no business reading this book, and then went to proceed to reading the book. She took it from me and read the book and then sent the book back with me to take it back to school. By this time I had already finished it, but it was just the fact that my mom and I liked the same genre. And granted, like I said, this was not age appropriate material, but I'm truly a believer in that if you bring your kids up the right way, even if they encounter things that they have no business encountering, no business reading, no business like listening to, the video games that they're out there playing, like, I believe that they will be okay as long as they know, like, this is not the way that you act, this is not the way that you conduct yourself, because you are not an adult. All right, so after The Coldest Winter Ever, the year was 2006. I was 14 and I read Blossom by Queen Pen. No, it was 2007, and I read Blossom by Queen Pen. And this was another book that I had gotten from a classmate. And y'all, that book was so good. It was another like urban fiction book, but there was like more of a romance focus in that one. And y'all, till this day, Queen Pen wrote the heck out of that book, but it ends on a cliffhanger. I'm sorry, spoiler alert. Now, I'm not going to spoil the actual book, but it ends on a cliffhanger. And myself, and I know everybody else out there that read Queen Pen's Blossom, has been waiting on part 2. 20 years. It's safe to say that we probably ain't getting that book no time soon, but somebody go find Queen Pen and get her back in the lab, because that book was just too good for it to finish where it finished and for us to not get any type of follow-up. After Queen Pen's Blossom, I remember reading, oh my goodness, Thugs and the Women Who Love Them by Wahida Clark. Y'all, that was like, Wahida was the one that introduced me to like the series. Like, that's when I was like, oh no, I gotta get the second book and I gotta get the third book. And I don't even remember how I was able to get these books. Like, my mind is very fuzzy. Like, granted, this is like 20 years ago. But y'all, I remember following that whole series with Tasha and Angel and just thinking about like, man, this is so good. Now, I will say some of the behavior in those books was a little toxic from those guys. But, you know, it was just such, it was raw, it was real, it was street. And, you know, I was like, dang, this is good. This is better than good. And I actually had a full circle moment when I went to Black Romance Book Festival last month and got the chance to meet Wahida Clark in person. And I even got 2 signed books from her. And they're actually up there on my bookshelf. I'll show y'all in just a second. But, you know, I'll pop it up right here. I got 2 signed books by her. Thugs and the Women That Love Them, and then Thug Matrimony. So I saw her at Black Romance Book Festival, and I just told her, like, look, you are a legend. You are a whole legend in these streets. And if nobody has ever given you your flowers, let me be the one. Because you opened up, like, a whole new world for a lot of us, like, teenage readers. Because your work was such an accurate depiction, I feel like, of like just that street love, like that hood love. And I really appreciated that. Like the whole series, I'm really trying to figure out how I read this whole series, because baby, I didn't have a job at 15, but somehow, some way I got through like pretty much all of the series, I believe. And then from like Wahida Clark, I got into Zane. So I kind of got into the erotica. And a lot of that was like what my mom had laying around the house, and not just laying around the house, but let me be more specific, like in her closet that I would like rummage through when she was not home. Y'all, I read all types of Zane books, but I want to say the one that was most memorable for me was APF. The Sisterhood of APF, y'all. I had no business, none. But I just remember reading that and being like, man, this is so good. Like, this takes place in college. And, you know, the girl is from, like, the country. And she gets exposed to, like, this whole new world. Like, I just cannot explain what I felt when I first read a Zane book. But the crazy thing is, like, Zane was like wild to me back then, but since then I read way crazier things. Like Zane done birthed a whole new generation that is taking it even further than where she took it. But she was definitely like a pioneer for that. Now I will say, not everything that I read was like not teenage appropriate or what have you. Another series, and I kind of mentioned this author in the last video that I did. Another series that I read when I was in high school was Elle Devine's Drama High, y'all. And that's another, I think by the time like I really started getting into her books, I was able to like go to the bookstore, and I think I found some of those at the library as well. But Drama High, that was a really good series, and it was one of those ones where you could not like stop reading. Like, to know that there were teenage girls who were my age out there, like, you know, immersed into 2 different worlds, because the main character Jade, like, she is from, I think she's from Crenshaw. Oh, don't fire me if that's wrong, but you know, she's from one part of California, but because she's really smart and, you know, just does very well in school, she's able to like go to school in a different area. And the area that she goes to school in is like majority white. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Jade is like one of only 3 to 5 Black people at her school, and I think 2 of them were actually her friends. So just seeing how she navigated the challenges that she did, you know, peer pressure, like having boyfriends, trying to stay a virgin and not have sex, and just all the different things that she faced as a teenager were some of the things that I was facing as a teenager at that time. But it was so like real, and it wasn't like the cute little buttoned up, like, you know, the soft way of addressing it. Like Elle Devine took those topics head on and addressed them in a way that teenagers in a modern day world would understand. So I really appreciated that series, and I'm still till this day, like I still think about Jade. Now, those are pretty much the main books that I want to say shaped my formative years. I'm trying to see. I did read like 1 or 2 by Eric Jerome Dickey as well. I'm trying to think of who else. I think that is pretty much it. Now, I do know that there are some of the classics that I have to go back and read, and I will. But y'all, I'm honestly thinking at my grown age right now of doing like a reread of all of the books that I named, and just like telling y'all how I feel about them as a woman in her mid-30s, as opposed to how I felt about them 20 some odd years ago as a teenager. I don't know. We're gonna have to double back. We're gonna have to what do the kids say these days? What do they say? We're gonna have to spin the block. Y'all know I'm an auntie. But anyway, y'all let me know, what are some of the books that played a very important role in your life as a reader, as a lifelong reader? And I don't know, would you go back and read them these days? Is there something I missed? Is there something that you feel was a key player in your childhood, teenagehood, that I need to read, that I need the experience of reading? Let me know. Until next time, y'all.